Seriously? What?
No, God, please, no, no!
Are you kidding me? Some exercises are an absolute joke. And I'm gonna show you 6 of the worst exercises of all time and replacements that you can use to get better results. And we're gonna start right now. Some compound enthusiasts might think that one of the worst exercises is the leg extension. Some squat purists might think that the leg press is one of the dumbest exercises. Nope, neither one of these exercises are the worst exercises ever. In fact, researchers have even shown recently that the leg extension and the leg press can target the quads slightly differently when done unilaterally. So if we use effective programming, both of these movements are actually fantastic. So stop making the leg press and the leg extension a punchline. So what are the jokes in the strength world? Might it be a squat? So the first exercise that we're LOLing over is going to be a squat, but not just any squat. These squats actually cause me massive amounts of pain. This is a quarter squat, and you'll see guys in the gym like this. Ugh. And they'll load the bar up with tons of weight, and I have no idea how they even stop at that quarter position. And they just look terrible. They start to fold and then go. Now, one thing is that you'll see elite level athletes use a quarter squat, and I've even seen world-class sprint cyclists do a quarter squat like this, here. They might do this for speed or for potentiation, or even when they're starting their peak, they might go here. But they're not using that as that open quarter squat. What we want to do, if we're trying to focus on strength, is to start to do a full range of motion back squat. Once you get good at doing full range of motion back squats for general fitness, then you start to get stronger, you improve your mobility, and you start to build up that strength. After you get through that, if you are an athlete or you're a coach of athletes, you can use those box squats when you're trying to peak, but they aren't overly effective if we're looking to increase strength long term. So that begs the question, what else defines a bad exercise? Let's begin by looking at 6 key factors that we laid out that determine a bad exercise. So first, we've got to look through the lens. Is there any sense of transfer of training? Are there movements that transfer more to a wider breadth of exercises? That second key lens is the exercise needlessly dangerous? I even like to think about doing something like having a vest on and then doing a kipping pull-up while wearing the vest. That can put us in that dangerous perspective. So we've got to keep that in the back of our mind. That third one, is the exercise needlessly overloaded? Ego lifting is real. And oftentimes you'll see an individual with so much weight on the bar that you're like, is that really necessary? Fourth, can the exercise be easily replaced with something better? Fifth, and this is gonna tie into that transfer of training, don't compare potentiation lifts that are used by elite athletes to your strength quarter squats. Sixth, loading is fool's gold. I'm envisioning the glutes here where we see 500, 600, 700 pounds loaded on specific exercises. There's got to be a simpler, more effective way to get an adaptation from the glutes. And as we established, the quarter squat is not the only absurd squat. You know what else is absurd? Single leg squats. Dane, you've been saying that single leg squats are God's gift to the strength world. And they are when done properly, but we're gonna be talking about the Bulgarian squat. And what I believe is the Bulgarian squat is this absolutely ridiculous, absurd, horrible movement. And that uses a bench because we're getting put in a bad position. There's a couple big factors here. One, we don't have a target for our back knee. Two, the foot positioning is too high relative to the length of our tibia. Three, we can't do this with a very heavy load because we're not using the right equipment. That's why it's called a Bulgarian squat, because Bulgarians never actually did this, but this is how people market their actual Bulgarian squats. So what we're gonna see is people come down like this and they come back up. And they're typically bouncing all over the place. They can't handle the actual positions and it transfers poorly. Let me go here. It's almost like our quarter squats, and I get that done. Now, what can we do to replace this. There's got to be a better exercise. And of course, that exercise takes us to the single leg squat. So when we come over here and we look at what our situation is, we have a garage strength single leg roller. This is specifically designed with the average length of tibias in mind, okay? So this also provides a wider base. The other aspect is we have a target. We have the single leg pad right here. So now we know the depth that we need to get to. We have a proper height that is more stable and rolls effectively, and in turn, enables us to use a little bit more load. So we can go here, boom, boom, boom. And we've had athletes single leg squatting over 500 pounds on our single leg rollers. So the big factor here is first, we've got to head over to garagestrength.com, pick up that single leg roller and pad today so that you can improve that unilateral strength. This is going to replace the Bulgarian squat, which is ineffective as far as loading is concerned, as far as depth is concerned, and as far as safety is concerned. And speaking of needlessly dangerous exercises and needlessly overloaded exercises, heavy bench negatives go right into that comedy club. They're perfect for that blown out pec. But I'm going lighter. I just want to get that mechanical tension and a little bit of metabolic stress. Jason, our videographer, has even been spotting person while he was training to become a D3 All-American, and the dude was doing heavy bench negatives, blacked out, and dropped the bar on his chest, almost dying. Isn't that right, Jason?
Yep, scariest moment of my life.
They also don't serve for adding much transfer of training unless you're at that super elite level. They can be very, very dangerous. Now, if you're concerned about your exercise selection, I want to give you over 700 Dane approved exercises. And even if you don't like one of our exercises, inside Peak Strength, you can easily replace that exercise to something that you're more familiar with. I want to help you train safer and more effectively by getting 5 free workouts. All you guys have to do is head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, or the Apple iOS Store, download Peak Strength today, and start those 5 free workouts to become a freak. Now, what other exercises might be needlessly dangerous? Could it be a pull-up? One of those pull-up variations, tipping weighted pull-ups. There's nothing wrong with weighted pull-ups, but if you're going to load them, do them as strictly as possible. Now, it makes sense that in the sport of CrossFit, there will be tests that involve a vest and some type of kipping aspect. So that requires skill. But in training, if we're trying to improve strength in our lats or improve strength just doing pull-ups, I think the best way to improve that strength is to load that pulling pattern and then do that as strictly as possible. Yes, there will be a little bit of sway here and there. Now, kipping can put you into a dangerous position, and if you're overloaded, then that's going to lead to some sense of injury. It is a skill, and I recommend focusing on the kipping aspect without that overload when you're actually focusing strictly on skill development. But not all exercises on this list are ones that I find dangerous. Some are just kind of pointless, like the tricep kickback. This one's really, really easy to replace. We can use Miracle Grows, tricep pushdowns, incline French press, close grip bench. We can load very, very heavy and get a bigger pump from the triceps. And then, if you really, really want to do a tricep kickback, use one of our power elastics. Again, available at garagestrength.com. This will provide much better loading pattern, and it actually gets harder as you extend. If you do this for like 4 sets of 30, you're gonna get an absurd pump. Now, another ridiculous exercise that's sort of totally useless is going to be a shrug. Bear with me here. A lot of guys you'll see going shrugs here, or they're doing their rolly shrugs like this. And oftentimes, they might even be inside of a squat rack at the commercial gym where you don't want to do quarter squats. You're trying to do those full range of motion squats, and they've got a barbell loaded with 500 pounds, doing their shrugs, strapped up, of course, going like this, right? And maybe they're doing like sets of 10, something like that. You will get a little bit of a pump, but there's so many exercises that are way more effective. One thing that we can do is just deadlift heavy frequently. Another thing that we can do is a little bit of a lean away raise here. Another one might be doing a drag curl for higher reps. You're gonna get biceps and the traps. Or doing a horse pull or a high hang snatch pull. Do these for really high reps. So we're here, boom, 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 boom. 5 sets of 17. That's how you build the traps. That's how you apply it to sports. That's how you get more explosive. All these exercises are ridiculous, but they all have fantastic replacements. So try to avoid the ones that can get you hurt. Don't do the ones that are gonna waste your time. Focus on that transfer of training, because remember, freaks, if you wanna become a champion, you've always gotta cultivate your power. Peace.